Hello friends, I am Shivaji Bhaskar, Faculty of Russian at the School of Foreign Languages IGNOU. I welcome you all to this course, Basics of Russian Communication Skills Part 1. As you must be aware that in the previous modules, we have discussed about various aspects of the Russian language. We have discussed about the Russian alphabet, we have discussed about as the vowels and consonants of the Russian alphabet, we have seen certain words and expressions of Russian, and then we have discussed about the verbs of motion. As in this module, we will be taking it further with the help of some prefixes of the Russian verb of motion. So, if you remember that we have used certain verbs like ver and vi, which means to enter and exit, we have also seen certain prefixes like pre and u, which means arrival and departure, along with the verbs of motion. As you are already aware that we have generally two groups in the verbs of motion. The group 1 is basically such verbs which indicates direction and kind of a movement which is only in one direction, whereas the group 2, it indicates movement either to and fro or in multiple directions. We have also learned about certain expressions like kashta, chasta, etc., which indicates that the action is repetitive, and we select the verbs of the second group. So, these are the verbs like ichi and khajich, yekhach and yezdich. Ichi and khajich, we know that it is to go on foot in a direction, whereas khajich means to go on foot in multi-direction. In case of yekhach and yezdich, we know that yekhach means to go on a transport in a particular direction, whereas while using the yezdich, it means to go by transport but in multiple directions. So, I hope the concept is absolutely clear to you all. And now we will take it further with the help of a few more prefixes in the Russian verbs of motion or the glagoli движения. So, here you can see that the verb is приехать, and the prefix we have used is pri, means to arrive. Приехать, and since ехать is the verb of the first group of verbs of motion, which indicates the movement is in a particular direction. So, now let us see the conjugation of the verb приехать. Я приеду, I arrive by transport, ты приедешь, он, она приедет, мы приедем, вы приедете, and они приедут. So, in all these conjugations, you have seen that we have used the prefix pri, which means arrive, while using the first verb yekhach from the first group of the verbs of motion, which indicates the movement in a particular direction. So, I arrive, you arrive, he and she arrives, мы means we arrive, вы means you plural arrive, and ani, they arrive. So, in order to conjugate these verbs, we have to be very careful that the prefix remains same, however, the ending of the verb changes. So, приеду, ты приедешь, он, она приедет, мы приедем, вы приедете, and ani приедут. So, in the similar fashion, you will see many more such verbs which we will be conjugating. The prefix remains same, the ending of the verb would be conjugated as per the requirement of the personal pronoun. Alright, now let us go ahead. Here we have this verb уехать. In this case, we are using the prefix u, which means to go away, to go out or to exit. Уехать, уехать, to go by a vehicle. Я уеду, from one point to another, I am moving, I am going away. Я уеду, ты уедешь, он, она уедет, мы уедем, вы уедете, они уедут. Okay, now let's see a few more such examples. Now let's go ahead as you remember that in both the forms, whether we have pri-ekhach or u-ekhach, we can also conjugate them in the past tense. And as per the rules of the Russian grammar, in past tense we use ya, ty, on, pri-ekhal. We place l, whereas in case of ya, ty, ana, we use pri-ekhala, l plus a. Whereas in case of plural, mui, voi, ani, we use pri-ekhali, l and e, like is the case in u-ekhach. In past tense, ya, ty, on, u-ekhal, ya, ty, ana, u-ekhala, mui, voi, ani, u-ekhali. So now let's go back to the conjugation of these verbs. Let's go back. Here you can see the verb pri-ekhach, means to arrive to a particular point. So now we will ask a question, Kagda on priyejet, when does he arrive? So now we can also give an answer while using on priyejet utram, he will come in the morning. On priyejet vecharam, he will come in the evening. On priyejet dvachisa, he will come at 2 o'clock. On nipriyejet, he will not come. So here you can see that we have used the conjugation along with certain other expressions. And as you have learned in the previous modules about certain endings of the words of the feminine gender, while using the verbs of motion, it changes into, if it ends with a, it will change into u, and if it ends with ya, then it will change into u. For example, Kagda on priyejet Moskvu, when will he arrive? Priyejet, when he will arrive in Moscow. On priyejet Moskvu zavtra, he will come, he will arrive to Moscow tomorrow, zavtra. So in this case you can also conjugate the verb pri-ekhach and give the meaning to the sentence as per the requirement and context. Some examples of the feminine gender nouns like Australia, which means Australia, ends with ya. It can be changed into Ana priyejet v Australiu zavtra. She will arrive or she will come, in the sense of arrival. She will arrive in Australia tomorrow. So like that you can also make your own examples. If we have example like India, Kagda ani priyedut, kuda vinju, because it is India vinju. Ani priyedut vinju posle zavtra. Posle zavtra means day after tomorrow. So future tense. So they will arrive in India day after tomorrow. You can give such kind of examples as well. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to this verb u-ekhach. Here we have seen u means to go from one point to another, to leave or to go away. U-ekhach. Kagda ti uejish London, when are you leaving for London? Ya uyedu London zavtra, I am leaving for London tomorrow. So this kind of expression, this kind of sentence you can also construct using u-ekhach. For example, Vash brat ishodoma, is your brother still at home? On ujre, he is already left. On ujre u-ekhal. So when do we use such construction when we use these verbs in past tense, which we already have done. So now let's go ahead. Here we have the past tense forms of приехал and уехать. So приехать, уехать. Вчера наши гости приехали. Yesterday our guests have arrived. So yesterday itself a guest has arrived, so we have used приехали. Мой папа уехал. Мой папа уехал в Delhi. My father has left for Delhi. Вчера моя мама и мой папа уехали в Mumbai. So yesterday my mother and father have left for Mumbai. So these kinds of constructions and sentences you can also make while using these conjugated forms of приехать and уехать in past tense. I hope the concept is clear to you. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to this important dialogue where you will find certain verbs of motion being used. So this is a conversation between Sasha and Ashok. So Sasha is asking, Ashok, когда у нас экскурсия? When do we have excursion? Ashok, экскурсия у нас в понедельник. If you remember, we have done the days of the week as well. In this case, we are using понедельник, which means Monday. Ashok is saying, answering, экскурсия у нас в понедельник. Sasha, а куда мы едем? And where to? Or where are we going? Ashok, мы едем в Агру. Why we have used the word Agru? Because we have used the verbs of motion, in this case ехать and ездить. So мы едем. Мы едем куда? Мы едем в Агру, because Agra ends with a of the feminine gender, so changes into Agru. Suppose if it is Patna, мы едем в Патну. If it is Mumbai, Mumbai masculine gender, Mumbai. If it is Delhi, then мы едем в Delhi. But if it is Vishakhapatnam, then мы едем в Vishakhapatnam. And like many other examples, you can use to describe. Куда мы едем and then the noun. If it is masculine, it remains same. However, if it is feminine gender noun, it would change into u or you. Now, Sasha is asking, как интересно, мама так много рассказывала о Тадж-Махале. Теперь я сам увижу его. So here we have used the prepositional case as well. When Sasha is saying, как интересно, how interesting, мама так много рассказывала. That mother has spoken a lot about Taj-Mahal, about Taj Mahal. Теперь, now я сам увижу его. Now I will see it myself. Увижу. Видеть means to see. Увижу, to see it in once. To see it once completely. Теперь я сам увижу его. Его is for Taj Mahal or the Taj Mahal. Now let's go ahead. Ashok. Да, это удивительный памятник. Yes, this is a very beautiful, very interesting, very surprising monument, памятник, from the word память, which has been built in memory of someone, памятник. Строили его очень долго. It was built for a very long time. Почти 22 года. Almost 22 years it was used, it was constructed for around 22 years. По инициативе императора Шахджахана, on the initiative of Emperor Shah Jahan. Многие иностранные туристы приезжают. So here we have used the verb приезжать. Приезжать. They arrive multi-direction. That is why from the group 2 приезжают. Многие иностранные туристы. A lot of international tourists, they come to India, Vinju, для того, for something, чтобы, so that they can увидеть, see completely Taj Mahal. So, see the Taj Mahal fully. Many international tourists come to India. Такой он красивый, because it is so beautiful. Такой он красивый. Sasha is asking Ashok, а ты был в Агре? Have you been to Agra? Here you can see the construction. We have used the preposition в and without any glagoli движения or the verbs of motion. That is why Agra becomes Vagria, changes into in Agra. Have you been to Agra? Have you been to Agra? Have you been in Agra? And a question mark. Now let's go ahead. Ashok, да, я хотя несколько раз ездил туда. Yes, I have been to that place many times. Я всегда готов поехать в Агру ради Тадж-Махала. I can still go to Agra for the sake of seeing Taj Mahal. Теперь ты сам увидишь, почему о нем все говорят, что это восьмое чудо мира. Now you will see yourself that why everybody talks about that it is the eighth wonder of the world. Sasha. Есть ли в Агре еще исторические памятники? Есть ли в Агре? Do we have more еще исторические памятники, historical monuments? So let's go ahead. Ashok, да, есть другие замечательные места в Агре. Yes, we do have many important places in Agra, such as это Fatehpur Sikri и Agra Fort. This is the Fatehpur Sikri and the fort of Agra or Agra Fort. Fatehpur Sikri это императорский дворец. This is Emperor's Palace, который построил великий император Akbar. This is the emperor's place which was built by great Mughal emperor Akbar. Это тоже прекрасный памятник. That is also a very wonderful monument. Хотя Taj Mahal есть Taj Mahal. However, Taj Mahal is Taj Mahal. So you cannot compare it with any other. So that is why in this sentence we have given the emphasis on that. Okay, now let's go ahead. Here you can see some of the words which we have used in this text in order to understand about a place of interest or famous monuments like Taj Mahal. We have also briefly talked about Fatehpur Sikri and many other places in Agra. So now let's go to the text once again and see. While Sasha and Ashok are discussing about Taj Mahal, we can see some of the nouns and verbs and word expressions which are of use. You can also use these words, expressions as well as verbs in your own text or in a form of a dialogue, so that you can prepare it by yourself and see that how your Russian language is becoming richer. Now let's go back to the text. So first word which is very important is excursia, means excursion or trip. So we use the word excursia. Here we can see that excursia ends with letter ya, which indicates that it is a feminine gender word. Какая экскурсия? Хорошая экскурсия. What kind of excursion? Good excursion. Хорошая экскурсия. Когда у нас? When do we have экскурсия? У нас экскурсия в понедельник. So you can replace it with понедельник, вторник, среда, четверг, пятница, суббота и воскресенье. However, in this construction, when we use когда, we can say экскурсия у нас понедельник, because it is masculine gender. Then вторник, masculine gender. Среда changes into в среду, because feminine gender. Then у нас четверг. Четверг, masculine gender, remains четверг. Пятница changes into пятницу, because feminine gender. Then суббота, субботу, and воскресенье remains воскресенье, because neuter gender. So these kind of words and these kind of days of the week you can also use in this text. However, you need to keep that in mind, the ending of that particular noun. So the next one, we have seen that we are using the verb ежем in a conjugated form for мы. Ездить. Куда мы ездим? Мы едем в Агру. So again the concept Agra changes into Agru. Then expression как интересно, how interesting. Как интересно, вы тоже живете там. For example, it is very interesting, you also live there. Как интересно, он тоже знает моего друга. So how interesting, you also know my friend. So как интересно expression you can use in different contexts. So please remember how and when to use this expression. Then мама так много рассказывала. So mama так много. Много means much. Mala means less. Много рассказывала. Рассказывать in a conjugated form, past tense. Мама, потому что, why? Because женский род or feminine gender. So рассказывала, она рассказывала о чем, about what? О Тадж-Махале. Так, мама много рассказывала. If we have a question, о ком, then you can replace it with animate noun, о друге, about friend. Alright, so you can also frame the question о ком and о чем. Then теперь я сам увижу его. Теперь means now, means after some time, after some break. Теперь now, which means now in this context, я сам увижу его. Now let's go ahead. Here you can see some of the construction of adjectives like удивительный, удивительный. So something which is very surprising, удивительный. Памятник, we know, monument. Then строить. Строить means to construct. In a past form, строили. When we conjugate it in plural form, so we use строили. Строили люди. Люди строили Тадж-Махал почти 22 года. People built Taj-Mahal almost for 22 years. So you can use that conjugation in that sense. And since we already know, we have learned in the previous modules about the counting in Russian. So 22 года, because 2. If 21, then 21 год. If 22, 22 года. If 23, 23 года. If 24, 24 года. And if 25, then 25 late. Okay, I hope you would remember this very well. So now we see that we have another word, по инициативе. It actually a borrowed word in the Russian vocabulary, means initiative, on the initiative of imperator, emperor. Again another borrowed word, Shah Jahan. Многие иностранные туристы приезжают в Индию. Многие иностранные туристы, all in plural, приезжают, also conjugated in a plural form, в Индию. Куда? В Индию. Where they arrive? They arrive in India in the sense that so that they can see the Taj Mahal properly. Такой он красивый. Такой он красивый. Adjective красивый, we know. is for Taj Mahal, masculine gender, means that is beautiful. Then atui bul vagre. So we are going to use another construction of the verb buich, means to be. Now buich we are using in a past form, bul, ya bul, tui bul, on ana bul and bula, and then vui buli, mui buli, ani buli. So it can also be conjugated in that fashion, like we have conjugated other verbs in past form. To bul vagre, have you been to? Have you been to Agra? Okay, now let's go ahead. Here we can see that we have used certain other expressions like khacha, da, I khacha ya niaskal karaz yezdil to da. However, so it gives the sense of using however. I have been to that place, means to Agra, many times. No garaz, niaskal garaz, many times. Ya sigda gatov, I am always ready. Sigda means always. Ya sigda gatov, on sigda gatov, ana sigda gatova. So whenever you are using this expression as per the gender, you may please use ya sigda gatov, tui sigda gatov, on sigda gatov, ana sigda gatova, мы sigda gatovy, vi sigda gatovy, ani sigda gatovy. Gatovi, ready. To what? For what? Gatov, поехать, поехать, to go, to go. So this prefix we shall talk about. Pra means to initiate, to start. Поехать, to go. Vagru, Raji, Taj Mahal. So Raj for the sake of, Raji, Taj Mahal, for the sake of seeing Taj Mahal. Once again I can go there. Once again, however, I have been to Agra many times. So Ashok is summarizing like that. Ciperti samu vijesh pachimu anyom se gavryat. Now you will see why everybody talks about it. Что это восьмое чудо мира? Why it is восьмое, 8 чудо мира, wonder. So for this we use this expression чудо мира. Taj Mahal, чудо мира. Taj Mahal is a wonder of the world. Sasha, если вагре еще исторические памятники? Есть ли? Do we have more, or is there any else historical monuments in Agra? So the construction is like that, to ask whether Agra has any more historical monuments. Yes, we do have. So let's go ahead. In this expression, the yes we do have. Drugi zamichanchilni. Some more wonderful places in Agra like Fatehpur Sikri and Agra Fort. So here in this we have used Fatehpur Sikri. Это Imperatorski dvoryets. Dvoryets means palace. Fort means fort, and when we talk about palace, it is dvoryets. Dvoryets. Это Imperatorski dvoryets. This is emperor's palace, который построил великий император Akbar, which was built. Который we use to indicate for using который is to построил великий император Akbar. So for dvoryets, which was built. So for using which was, we use the expression который, and as per the gender also it changes. For example, in this case we are using for Fatehpur Sikri, which is a palace, dvoryets который. So in place of this dvoryets, if we have any other word, if you want to replace it with auditoria, которая. And if it is pamitniki, if it is monuments, then которые, построили, великие, императоры, and then you can replace it with any other plural names of that dynasty, which can be used to determine the text as per the context. Then это тоже прекрасный памятник. Это тоже, this is also a wonderful прекрасный pamitnik. So in place of pamitnik, you can also replace it with any other
Now, prekrasny means wonderful. Prekrasny человек, прекрасный друг, wonderful person, wonderful friend. Прекрасная работа, wonderful work. Прекрасный город, wonderful place. Прекрасная страна, wonderful country. So these kind of different nouns you can use, and then you will see the adjective is also changing as per the requirement of the noun. Khacha Taj Mahal, yes Taj Mahal. However, Taj Mahal is Taj Mahal. So here we have used the expression khacha. However, Taj Mahal, yes Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is Taj Mahal. So I believe that based on the text you can see that all these different words, word combinations, expressions as well as verbs which we have used, you can also make your own text and use it with your family and friends in order to have a good grip over the Russian language. And now we will discuss about certain other concepts which we will be covering in the upcoming module. Now in the upcoming module we will discuss about the case system of Russian. However, we have briefly discussed about it, that the padyesh or the case. So these cases which we have in Russian, like imenitelny padyesh or the nominative case. Then we have seen the prepositional case where we use the preposition va and na. So предложный padyesh, and винительный padyesh where we use the accusative case. So like in the case of Я люблю свою страну. So in this case, любить and many other such verbs are being used in the accusative case. Then we will discuss about дательный падеж, which means dative case. In that we use questions like кому. So писать письмо, кому. These kind of questions we will discuss in that case known as dative case. Then we will discuss about numbers, time, and many other important issues like skolka, mnoga, mala, etc. in Rajichelny Padyesh. Then we will use the last case which is known as the instrumental case or the Tvarichelny Padyesh, where we will use scam, schem, these kind of questions to determine with whom, with what. Например, for example, я пишу на доске с мелом, I write on the blackboard with chalk. Or я приеду домой с другом, I will come at home with friend. So these kind of questions, these kind of things we will discuss in these case systems one by one, and you will be learning about them in detail in that dedicated module. I hope you all enjoyed this module about Glagoli Движения. Thank you.